Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: AI is replacing 007 in the Espionage Arms Race. Women and children first? Experts say that in most crises, it's more like everyone for themselves. The capital of Chile is. What is Rebel Moon, the new straight-to-streaming blockbuster by Zack Snyder? In Israel, US aid denies talk of a rift over Gaza war. AI is replacing 007 in the Espionage Arms Race. Bloomberg. The espionage battle between the US and the Soviet Union during the Cold War has continued to the present day, according to Calder Walton, author of Spies, the epic intelligence war between East and West. Walton argues that the contest, which began after the Russian Revolution in 1917, continued during World War II and in the period after the collapse of the Soviet Union. He draws on his experience working as a researcher on the official history of the British Security Service, or MI5, to discuss how the lessons of the First Cold War can be applied to the current conflict between the US and China. He suggests that the British intelligence services have maintained their influence in the geopolitical game due to their expertise, particularly in areas like code breaking, and their close relationship with the US. Walton also notes that the nature of intelligence and national security is being redefined by the use of open-source intelligence and artificial intelligence, and that intelligence communities will need to work more closely with the private sector in order to process the vast quantities of data being collected. Women and children first? Experts say that in most crises, it's more like everyone for themselves. Associated Press. The capital of Chile is. Yahoo! Chile is a small farming village in New Mexico with a population of just over 1,700 people. It was named after General Edward Hatch, a Civil War veteran who later led a regiment of African American troops known as Buffalo Soldiers. The village is famous for its chili peppers, which were introduced to the Pueblo people by the Spaniards in the late 1500s to early 1600s. Joseph Franzoe was the first commercial chili farmer in the Hatch Valley, and his crops would eventually become world famous. What is Rebel Moon, the new straight-to-streaming blockbuster by Zack Snyder? ABC. Director Zack Snyder's new film Rebel Moon will be released on Netflix. The big-budget sci-fi film is not based on any existing intellectual property, and Snyder described it as the Seven Samurai in space. It stars Sophia Boutella, Charlie Hunnam, Jimin Hunsu, Mikhail Husman, Stez Nair, Duna Bay, Ray Fisher, and Cleopatra Coleman, with Sir Anthony Hopkins providing the voice for a robot knight. Rebel Moon will be released in cinemas for a week in Los Angeles, New York, Toronto, and London from December 15 to qualify for the Oscars, before streaming on Netflix from December 21. In Israel, US aid denies talk of a rift over Gaza war. New York Times. U.S. President Biden's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, has played down differences between the U.S. and Israel after meeting with Israel's top leaders. Sullivan stated that the U.S. is not there to dictate what Israel should do. His remarks came on the same day that the Israeli military announced that its soldiers had accidentally killed 3 Israeli hostages in Shujaa, a neighborhood in Gaza City. The military stated that the troops had mistaken the hostages for a threat and fired towards them, killing them. The hostages were abducted in a Hamas-led raid in October that triggered the war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the killings an unbearable tragedy and praised the brave warriors who are devoted to the sacred mission of returning our hostages, even at the cost of their lives. The military is investigating the episode. Motorcycle icon Royal Enfield faces fresh challenge from Harley in India's biker paradise. Bloomberg. India's expanding middle class and growing contingent of female bikers is driving a shift in the country's motorcycle scene, with Triumph and Harley-Davidson both renewing efforts to produce cheaper bikes for the market in partnership with local firms. Royal Enfield, acquired by India's Eicher Motors in 1994, remains the clear leader, selling about 75,140 motorcycles in India in November, but smaller engine motorcycles from Triumph and Harley are proving increasingly popular, with Triumph Scrambler 400X and Speed 400 already attracting more than 10,000 orders, according to Indian partner Bajaj. Chinese land ownership in U.S. down 2% in 2022, report. South China Morning Post. Chinese land ownership in the U.S. has declined by 2% in 2022, according to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Chinese ownership fell from about 357,000 acres in 2021 to 349,442 acres. The report comes as lawmakers have raised concerns about Chinese land ownership due to national security concerns. Several U.S. states have introduced measures to restrict Chinese land ownership. Canadian investors own the most American land of any foreign group, accounting for 32% of foreign-held acres. Investors from the Netherlands, Italy, Britain, and Germany also hold significant amounts of U.S. land. U.S. approves $300 million support for Taiwan's tactical information systems. The Globe and Mail. The U.S. State Department has approved a $300 million sale of equipment to Taiwan to help maintain its tactical information systems. The U.S. is legally required to provide Taiwan with means to defend itself, leading to frequent tensions with Beijing. The Pentagon said the sale was for follow-on life cycle support to maintain Taiwan's command, control, communications, and computers C4 capabilities. Taiwan's defense ministry said the sale would help maintain the effectiveness of its joint combat command and control systems, thus improving battlefield awareness. 40 horror movies on Netflix to watch, if you dare. Yahoo! Netflix has a vast selection of horror movies available for streaming. From psychological thrillers to vampire killers to intergalactic invasions, there is something to satisfy every horror fan's appetite. The streaming service even offers international horror movies, such as the Indonesian film May the Devil Take You and the South Korean movie The Whole Truth. Some of the scariest movies currently available on Netflix include Creep, 2015, a found-footage horror film, The Haunting in Connecticut, 2009, a tale of a family terrorized by supernatural forces in their new home, and A Classic Horror Story, 2021, an intense thriller about a group of strangers fighting for survival in the woods. Other notable horror movies on Netflix include The Invitation, 2022, a film about a woman who discovers a dark genetic secret about her family, Chem, 2018, a psychological thriller about a chem girl who discovers she has an impersonator on the internet, and Bird Box, 2018, a post-apocalyptic horror film about a woman and her children trying to survive in a world where looking at a supernatural entity causes people to go insane. Overall, Netflix offers a wide range of horror movies for fans of the genre to enjoy. Whether you prefer supernatural scares, psychological thrillers, or classic slasher films, there is something for everyone on the streaming service. So grab your popcorn and get ready for a fright night with some of the scariest movies available on Netflix right now. China's iPhone ban accelerates across government and state firms. Bloomberg. Chinese government agencies and state-owned firms in 8 provinces have ordered employees to stop using iPhones and other foreign devices at work, furthering Beijing's campaign to reduce reliance on American technology. The move, which coincides with the rising popularity of Huawei, poses a threat to Apple's market share in China. While Chinese software and hardware have gradually displaced U.S. products over the years, the directive marks a step up in the government's efforts to encourage the use of domestic brands. The extent of the bans is not yet clear. And that's all the news for today. Let's recap what we've learned. AI is replacing 007 in the espionage arms race, as intelligence agencies adapt to new technologies and the changing nature of national security. The phrase women and children first is not as relevant in today's crises, as the focus is now on saving the most vulnerable, regardless of gender. The capital of Chile is a small farming village in New Mexico, famous for its chili peppers. Director Zack Snyder's new film, Rebel Moon, will be released on Netflix and is described as the Seven Samurai in space. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has downplayed differences between the U.S. and Israel after the accidental killing of 3 Israeli hostages by Israeli troops. India's motorcycle scene is shifting, with Triumph and Harley-Davidson producing cheaper bikes for the growing middle class and female bikers. Chinese land ownership in the U.S. has declined, while Canadian investors own the most American land of any foreign group. The U.S. has approved a $300 million sale of equipment to Taiwan to help maintain its tactical information systems. Netflix offers a wide selection of horror movies for fans of the genre to enjoy. Chinese government agencies and state-owned firms are ordering employees to stop using iPhones and other foreign devices at work, posing a threat to Apple's market share in China. Phew, that's quite a mix of news stories today. It's fascinating to see how technology is changing the world of espionage and intelligence, and how traditional notions of who to save first in a crisis are evolving. And as always, there's some fun entertainment news and interesting updates from around the world. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these news stories? Do you have any questions or opinions to share? Let's start a discussion. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.